Well, Charles I couldn't live on the money he had. I said in a previous video, his foreign policy just simply cost way more than he could afford, and so he didn't like Parliament, so he decided to go to forced loans. I mean, the king comes to you and says, "Give me £50. Oh, and I'll pay you back sometime." Of course, people didn't buy that. They sued the king, and the courts in the Five Knights case decided, we don't want to get into this, and so they ruled in a very narrow ruling that Parliament had the king had the right to force you to give him money. But there's the assumption there is that sooner or later you're going to get your money back. Well, everybody knew you weren't going to get your money back. Charles I couldn't, you wouldn't trust him to pay your water bill, much less to give you money back. So as a result, Parliament responds with what's known as a Petition of Rights, and the Petition of Right is a statement by Parliament that things are not going right. One, forced loans. We just talked about them. Two, quartering. Charles, foreign policy requires soldiers, it requires sailors. Charles didn't want to pay for their food, for their lodging, stuff like that. So he said, you're a citizen of this kingdom. I'm head of this kingdom. You get to put a soldier in your house and feed them and give them bed clothing and all that stuff. And it's part of being an Englishman. People were not very happy about that. And you can think about how happy you would be if the president of the United States said, "Oh, and by the way, we don't have enough money for the Navy, so we're going to put some sailors in your home. And by the way, you get to feed them." People are not very happy about this. Removal of due process. Since Charles is king, at least in his head, since he has been trusted by God to do good things for England, he's going to say, we just don't need to go through all those steps. We just need to have results. Some people are going to be convicted wrongly, and some people might even be executed wrongly, but God has trusted me to do this. So if we don't have to do it, we're not going to do it. We're not going to give you due process. And that led inevitably to executions without jury trials. Now, I don't want to be executed. And being executed would make me furious and frightened and all that. And I got to tell you, if I'm executed without a jury trial, I'm going to be even angrier. I'll be probably equally frightened, but I'm going to be even angrier. And of course, all these folks, people who get executed, have relatives, friends. A lot of times people get executed, have friends in high places. So this is not going to go down very well across the kingdom. And you can imagine this is why they wouldn't. And in fact, the Parliament is going to go out of the way to reference Magna Carta. So here we all are 400 years and change past Magna Carta, which says just how strong a document Magna Carta is. And they say, and whereas also by the statute called the Great Charter of the Liberties of England, it is declared and enacted that no freeman may be taken or imprisoned or be disseised, that is, have your property removed, of his freeholder liberties or his free customs, or to be outlawed or exiled or in any manner destroyed, but by the lawful judgment of his peers or by the law of the land. And that's no joke. That's pretty strong language, and they meant it. Charles, of course, is not happy with this whole thing. And we get this petition, which occurs right at the end of the Petition of Right. They, that's we, the Parliament, do therefore humbly pray your most excellent majesty that no man hereafter be compelled to make or yield any gift, loan, benevolence, tax, or such like charge, without common consent by act of Parliament, right? That's Article 12 and 14 of Magna Carta. And that none be called to make answer, or take such oath, or to give attendance, or be confined, imprisoned, or otherwise molested or described concerning the same, or for refusal thereof. So if you refuse the king's request for money, you're not going to get tossed in the jug. And that no freeman, or in any such manner as is before mentioned, be imprisoned or detained, and that your majesty would be pleased, he wasn't going to be pleased, to remove the said soldiers and mariners, and that your people may not be so burdened in time to come, and that the aforesaid commissions, and this is regarding people being executed, may be revoked and annulled, and that hereafter no commissions of like manner may issue forth to, and notice this, to any person or persons whatsoever. Usually these things apply to freemen, not to serfs and people like that. But now Parliament is saying, anybody, everybody gets the right to a fair trial, and that you're not going to be executed without that fair trial, lest by color of them any of your majesty's subjects be destroyed or put to death contrary to the laws and franchise of the land. Charles has no choice but to agree to this, but Charles does have a choice as to whether he can call Parliament. It's up to, in those days, it was up to the king. Parliament had no right to exist beyond the king's wish at this point. The king did not wish, and therefore Parliament is going to be not called. Parliament is going to be left out. And for the next 11 years, there's not going to be a Parliament. But Charles still doesn't have money. And he's still going to have to, sooner or later, call Parliament. And when that happens, all hell is going to break loose. It's going to end up with Charles losing his head. Take care. Stay healthy. Don't lose your head. Good luck to everybody. Take care.